Today, as you can see here, we'll be discussing what is our intra-district and inter-district transfers during what is called our open enrollment. We will give more details as far as what that is. But here, hopefully our goals is to share some of the information and some of the questions that you might have throughout this presentation. We are going to introduce ourselves, the Student Services Department staff that work and supporting many of our families when it comes to enrollment, especially during distance learning and with COVID-19. I know for many of our families it's a challenge. We're going to then touch upon preschool through 12th grade enrollment, obviously both intra-district transfers during open enrollment, the process for families who then might consider want to leave the district with inter-district transfers, what is called overflows, which hopefully none of that happens to our families. We'll provide some questions and answers that we haven't answered or touched upon at the end, and then some contacts in case you want to reach out to somebody within the district as well. This is something that just so you can familiarize yourself with. So if you have questions, you can ask your questions directly via the Q&A tool, which in this case will be sent questions directly to us, the moderators and panelists, the presenters, our presenters, our Student Services Department staff. As you log in, there will be interpretation in two languages, both Dari and in Spanish. You can click on the languages based on the little globe, the interpretation on your computer. If you have a smartphone, you can do so by clicking more. It also notifies you as you log in into the presentation that there's a variety of languages available for today. If we mentioned, this presentation is recorded, and we'll share with you the links after this presentation for everyone who wants to follow up and learn more, or I want to share with somebody else. My name is Heriberto Soto. I work in Student Services as a Family Engagement Coordinator. If you have questions, please, you can reach out to me via our contact information. Obviously, email is always best based on the response and the ability to provide fuller responses and links and documents if needed. We have our interpreter from the English Learner Services Department with Paul Barajas. So if you want to reach out to him with questions you might have, obviously that's his contact information. The Family Community Engagement has worked hard as far as providing as much information as possible through all the different means of accessing that information. So whether it's the QR code you could scan with your smartphone, or shorten bit.lys or URLs to help with logging into information. We're working our best to make sure that you're receiving that information as well. So with that, I'm going to let Mr. Puente introduce himself and then the Student Services Department as well.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Soto, for coordinating these past few weeks of virtual enrollment fairs. To be able to coordinate these different events, I know it's taken a lot of work on your part. So again, just want to say thank you for that work. And so, like Mr. Soto was saying, our Student Services Department is here today to talk about information related to the intra-open enrollment process, as well as the inter-district agreement process. And my name is Rudy Puente. I'm Director of Student Services for Twin Rivers Unified School District. I'm excited to have two of our employees with us who are very knowledgeable about that process and who will be giving the information today. So with that, I'd like to ask both of them to introduce themselves. And I think maybe we'll go ahead and start with Miss Maria Barragan.
Hi, my name is Maria Barragan. I work for the Student Services Department. I'm an administrative clerk bilingual, and as you can see, my contact information is in there. Email and extension to reach me directly if you have any questions.
And hi, I'm Deborah Thorne, and I'm an enrollment demographics specialist. Today, I'm going to speak to you regarding overflows, but I'm available for any other questions to assist you with. Just make sure you email me or call me on the phone, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you, Deborah, for those introductions. We look forward to hearing the information in this presentation today. What I wanted to let our audience know is that our Student Services Department, we have a main web link that we have at the top of this slide that our audience could access after this presentation. In addition to that, Ms. Barragan and Ms. Thorne included their emails as well as their direct contact numbers, so that if you do have questions for them, please feel free to reach out to them after this presentation. I'm sure they'd be willing to try and work with you on getting an answer to your question. In addition to that, we have an administrative secretary for the department. Her name is Robin Ewing. We have her email that is there as well, along with her direct extension. Additionally, not only do we have those different ways for you to get in and speak to folks out of our department, but we also have an email at stu.service@twinriversusd.org, where you can send us a message, and then we would try to get back to you to answer your question. In addition to that, we also have a help service line that's open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that number is 916-566-7801, and that's located at the bottom of this slide. In addition to that information, we also have some additional resource updates with regards to helplines for our Twin Rivers families. Our English Learner Service Department has a contact line where messages can be left for them so that they can assist families with any type of question that they may have, and that number is 916-566-1600, and then you would dial extension 33424. In addition to that, our special education department also has a message line where their staff can be reached at area code 916-566-1617, and then their staff will return your call during regular business hours. Well, we all know that during this pandemic, we've really done a lot to leverage technology, and we've run into some, different issues at times. And I know that our families sometimes need assistance with getting those addressed. And so our tech department has developed an email where families can reach out to them regarding those issues to get them resolved. And their email is techsupport@twinriversusd.org, or you can reach them via phone at area code 916-566-7802, Monday through Friday. And they start their hours a little bit earlier. So they start at 7 a.m. and they go until, let me see here, 5 p.m. So they do go a little bit later because they know that sometimes getting those questions addressed prior to the school day or after the school day is really important. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start talking about some of the requirements around enrollment. So I'm going to go ahead and hand that back over to, I think it's you, Mr. Soto, is that correct?
That is correct. We want to let you know for our families that one of the questions that get always asked is, what programs does my child qualify for? So one of the things is that if your child is going to turn 5 years old before, as you see here, on September 1st or before, meaning if they have a birthday in March, if they're going to be 5 or going to be 5 in April, and then they're ready to start enroll, in this case, pre-enrolling for kindergarten for next year. The state of California back a couple years ago created what is called Transitional Kindergarten. So in this case, if you have kids that fall within that September 2nd, December 2nd, and they turn 5 during that time, then they qualify what is called Transitional Kindergarten, where they'll be able to participate in the 2-year program. The first year would be Transitional Kindergarten, second year would be, in this case, with in kindergarten as well. And then for many of our families who are going to be turning 3 years old, we do want to let you know that preschool, if you have children that are already 3 years old of age, then in this case, they could qualify for preschool services and for Head Start. And then we have, in this case, also with families that could qualify also for early Head Start for our toddlers of age and infants as well with ECE. And with that, I believe we're going to go a little bit about preschool and the services that ECE provides.
Yes, and these are the services that the preschool department from Twin Rivers offers. Half-day, full-day state preschool, state infant toddler program. They'll also offer Head Start and early Head Start. If you have any questions or concerns, or would you like to contact them directly, on the right-hand side, we have our enrollment pre-K at twinriversusd.org. That goes directly to the preschool department if you have questions. And then the contact number would be 916-566-1616, where they can be contacted directly. And also we have the Q&R right here below. If you scan it, it would take you directly to their website page.
We want to let you know that in another case, for many of our families that are seeking to enroll into charter schools, obviously now is the point where they have their deadlines for applications. We want to let you know that charter schools have a different process when it comes to applying for for schools for your children. In this case, they usually have an application that then gets put into a lottery system. If you have questions or suggestion, best is always to either contact the office managers. So in this case, we include the names of the office managers at these 4 different school sites and their additional campuses for CCAA, for SMI P6 and 7-8, and also with Westside campuses as well. And then also, if you go to the links, you can be able to click on and start completing the application. Usually it's either the document as a PDF that you have to print and then mail or submit it electronically, or as a Google form or a document that you submit online as well. We would always recommend that, doing that as best and as soon as possible based on the timelines that they have. With that, we were going to go into our main piece, which is on intra-district and inter-district transfers. A lot of the information that we're going to share with you today is going to be able to be accessed within the new enrollment webpage. So if you go to twinriversusd.org/enrollment, you'll be able to direct you to that information. We also want to let you know that for our families, as you go to the main district website, the first part that says, as you log in, it says enroll now for 21-22 as well. And if you want to access information, you can also scan in with the QR code as well. Before we begin, we also want to let you know one of the ways to find out what school your child attends, obviously, is within Find Your School. It is a way, what is called like a school locator based on your home address. It helps you find, as far as when it comes to boundaries for students that are going to be entering either transitional kindergarten to 12th grade. We want to let you know that preschool doesn't, they have different rules when it comes to boundaries. It's not really tied in as far as where you live. And we also want to let you know that, obviously this does not apply to charter schools. And we want to let you know, recently the board had passed a school configuration to make sure that many of our schools would fit into what are called K6 or 7-8s or 9-12 models. So just make sure to find out what your school is. For example, in this example, somebody that technically would live close to SMI P6, but in reality, based on that, since it doesn't apply to charter schools, their school of address would be Stroud, Rio Tierra, and then Grant. That's just an example. We also want to let you know that one of the first steps in, as far as with enrollment now, the district has launched what is called the Arizona Enrollment. You can access that through the enrollment webpage. You would need to create an account. It takes about 25 to 30 minutes. You will be able to then submit your information typically as you would with a paper document, and then you'll be able to submit documents electronically, such as proof of address, proof of age, immunization records, and then the office managers or school staff at your home school of address would get notified. And you could already start enrolling now for this current school year in case you're new to the school district, or if you're a student that are returning from, who was previously attending Twin Rivers, or also you can also pre-enroll for next year as well, if you have an incoming TK or kindergarten student as well. So with that, I'm going to let Ms. Maria Barragan go into detail when it comes to the process for inter-district transfers.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Soto. So this is the intra-district transfers information. And an intra-district transfer is when a student, it gives a student from Twin Rivers permission to attend a different school in the district other than their home school of residence or school designated by the student established of attendance area. So the transfers are evaluated based on space availability, special programs need. And also just wanted to give the parents the information that if you do request a different school other than your home school of residence, a parent and guardian is responsible or would provide the transportation for the student. Our intra-open enrollment period started as of January 4th all the way till March 12th. Okay, and with that, the process, so the application can be printed online from our twinriversusd.org website. And once the application is printed, it's returned after being completed, it's returned to the school, the student's school site of attendance. So where your student is currently attending, even if the student is from 6th grade and moving to 7 or 7 to 9, the application will be completed and turned into the school the child is currently attending. New students, if they have never attended Twin Rivers District, any of our Twin Rivers District sites, then it would be returned back to the home school of residence based on your address. Notices regarding approval and denial of these applications, once they get submitted, parents will be notified by June 2021 school year. So in June, all parents should be notified by then and receive letters of approval and denial for those applications that were submitted. And if you have any further questions regarding that, you can contact our Student Services Department at 916-566-1620. Next slide. Okay. So an intra-district transfer is valid for the remainder of the time the child is enrolled in the school requested, as long as the request was approved. So if you already submitted an application last year for the school that your child is currently enrolling and it was approved, you don't need to resubmit another intra-open enrollment. It becomes permitted until the end of the grade level for that school. You would only need to resubmit another one if you're requesting a different site. Okay. Again, approvals is based on space availability, as you can see in there in the slide. In more requests for the transfers than space than available, a random unbiased lottery will take an effect for the intra-open enrollment. And again, parents and guardians must return the form to the school of attendance or the home school of residence based on the student's address if they never attended a Twin Rivers District site. And then below on the right-hand side, students transferring from one high school to another without a valid change of address may be eligible for varsity, they may not be eligible for varsity level competitions in all sports in which they completed in their previous school for 1 calendar year. And Mr. Rudy, Mr. Puente, would you like to touch bases on that?
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Barragan. Just like you stated before, it's really important that when families, especially of students who are going to participate in high school level sports, that if your student has been participating in a sport in the previous year, and then the decision or the request is such that you're going to be moving to a different program, there is a very strong possibility that your student would have to sit out that particular sport for up to a year. This is not a rule that is set in place by Twin Rivers Unified School District. It is a CIF bylaw that districts are required to abide by. So thank you, Maria, for pointing that out. Truly appreciate it.
And this slide gives you on the right-hand side an example of what the intra-open enrollment application looks like. Make sure that you read closely at the wording in order to place the correct information currently in the accurately in the boxes in the box areas. Examples of the most common mistakes that we see in the applications is making sure that This last name, the last name of the student goes first. Then you put the present grade and the school year grade for 2021. And for 2020, I'm sorry, for 2021 is the present grade. And for 21-22, the grade you're requesting for August for the next school year. And make sure the application is signed too. If the application is not signed, it will not be, we will not be able to process. So make sure it's signed and completed. Again, now we're gonna touch bases on the inter-district transfer. An inter is if you're leaving or coming into Twin Rivers. An inter-district transfer gives the student permission to leave the district from one school district to another. Twin Rivers started accepting applications also for this coming up year as of January 4th. And you can print out the application also in our Twin Rivers District website. If you can see on the left-hand side below, inter-district transfers form, that's what it looks like in the district website page. And it also has the child care affidavit in there on top of the application. If you need, if your request is based on child care, that needs to be filled out by the a parent and by the child care person or provider. On the right-hand side, you'll find the information stating that the application can either be emailed to my email, maria.berrigan@twinriversusd.org, or can be mailed to the address at 3222 Winona Way in North Highlands. Make sure your information is as accurate as possible, and a basic thing like not signing it, your application can delay the process on your application or from being reviewed, or it could end up, you know, possibly maybe deny it. So make sure everything's filled out correctly. So that way it doesn't delay the process in the application in order for it to be reviewed. And below that, you'll find the information for where you can reach us if you have any questions, as to service@twinriversusd.org. And our phone number for that would be 566-7801. Okay, so here is the 7 reasons in the application noted on the first page of the application that goes over what additional documents you need as far as based on the reason that you check mark on the application. On the left-hand side, you'll see that the application needs to be completed. We need, in order for us to process it, the application, you need to have the most current report card. And if the student has an IEP, we also need the IEP as well. Based on the 7 reasons, based on the 7 reasons, I'm just gonna go over 2 of them. But here are the 7 reasons. One of them could be childcare. If you notice, for a childcare, it's only K through 8th grade, and you would need to fill out the childcare affidavit that is located on top of the application. Another one of the reasons could end up being sibling attendance, and that means if the sibling, we would need a transcript or attendance record that the sibling is attending at the school you're requesting. So these are the 7 reasons, and the first page of the application again goes over, if you check mark a reason on the application, then it goes over what additional documents you would need to gather in order for the application to be completed, and attach those supporting documentation. Next slide. Okay, and here you'll find on the right-hand side, this is what our inter-district application looks like. That's one of the pages that will be submitted. The application is 5 pages long. You would only need to resubmit back to my email or send us via mail this page right here and the questionnaire as well. And then I'm gonna touch bases as far as some of the common mistakes that are made on the application. Make sure you have the current year. That is very important if you're requesting for 2021, which is our current year, or 21-22. Make sure that the last name of the student is first, and then school of residence must be filled out. And if you go back to the information page of the Twin Rivers District website, where you'll find the information regarding the application, it has a quick link or a school locator as well, where you can find the school of residence within Twin Rivers. Students, the other thing is, if you notice on this application where it states if the students have a disciplinary action or expulsion, I've seen that sometimes the application has both of them check mark. Make sure that you only check mark either yes or no. That's a very important question. And then if the child has an IEP, again, we need to make sure to provide the copy of that IEP in order for the applications to be processed, to make sure we meet the needs of the student, or the receiving district meets the needs of the student. Application needs to be signed and dated as well. It is a fillable document, so make sure please that it is also signed and dated. Next slide. These are examples of what the questionnaire looks like on the right-hand side, which would be the second document from the application that would be turned into me. And then on the left-hand side, you'll find what the child care affidavit looks like. That would include the child's demographic information and also the information and address of the person that would be taking care of your child, or the provider. And my coworker Deb is going to talk a little bit about overflow procedures.
So overflows are for students that are TK through 8th grade only. And it happens, the action will take place when the class size exceeds the limits for that grade level. It's also based on a first come, first served basis. So that's why I stress that it's important to get enrolled now so that your child will be able to stay at their home school. We also, if your child is overflowed, we try to accommodate your family. If you have other siblings that you want to keep together, we do try to accommodate that as well. We also have overflow brochures in 8 different languages, and you can find that on our website as well in the overflow area. And they'll explain a lot of things that you may not understand, and they'll have answers for you. But I'm always available. You can email me or call me. I'll be glad to assist you with that information.
We want to let you know that if you have any questions, our suggestion is always, there's a couple ways of going about it when it comes to enrollment. The best way, we recommend this, is if you go to the stu.service at twinriversusd.org, you'll be able to send a message. I'll be able to help you as well. Provide information and sign this both for intra-district open enrollment. We're here to help as well. I see there's some questions that were asked. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off this presentation, and then we'll ask those questions to our presenters, our panelists. And then I see that we still have time to kind of go and walk through the website itself as well in a little bit. For all the information that you can access, obviously the district, as many, we are trying to provide all this information to you all through all facets. So in this case, the main way that we suggest for families to find out more about Twin Rivers and all the programs is through the schools and the school district website. For our families that are interested in finding out more about your students' grades and attendance, there is a new Aries parent portal that helps you to check your students' attendance and grades and contact your teachers and get notification from the school sites. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter provides information about updates when it comes to nutrition services, technology services such as internet essentials, any changes that are happening within the district. Obviously, if you have those accounts, please make friends with Twin Rivers USD. We also want to let you know that our contacts too, not only within, let's say, student services, we mentioned like preschool and English learner services department and special education. There are other programs that help with as far as providing information. So health services, if you have questions regarding immunizations and clinics, if you have questions about adult school and the programs that they have as well. you can access them as well. So with that, I'm gonna do a couple things. Let me do something really quickly. Okay. I'm gonna stop screen sharing. I'm gonna put this in gallery view. And so, let me turn my camera on. Sorry, forgot about that. So one of the questions that I have, for example, that keeps getting asked for intra-district transfers, Maria, families are asking, how can they go about in submitting the documents if let's say, for example, they don't have access to a computer? What do you recommend in that case, as far as families in turning intra-district transfer and wishing to stay within Twin Rivers?
If it's that they can't print out the application, is that the question? That they don't have access to print it? Okay, so you can always contact me, email me, or leave me a voice message or call me. If I don't answer, please leave me a voice message. I will get back to you as soon as possible. I can mail the application to you if you don't have access to a printer. Then you can either, once it's completed and you have the supporting documents, you can screenshot pictures, make sure they're nice, clear pictures, and you can email those pictures to me. Or again, we also provided the address, the 3222 Winona address, where you can mail the application back to us.
There is another question regarding, so for students that are attending, in this case, they say Hazel Stroud because they're in an intra-district transfer. Do they remain in Hazel Stroud for next year? Is a question that I see being asked by some of our families.
So any students, as long as that school goes over, if, for example, if it's a 5th grader and that school goes up to 6th grade, and they got approved. So let me be clear. So not that they submitted one, but they got approved last year for that school already, then they don't need to submit another open enrollment application because it becomes permanent until the end of the grade level for that school that they applied and got approved for.
Thank you, Ms. Maria. There's a question regarding as far as when families, in this case, are switch school districts, so they go to a neighboring school district such as Natomas or San Juan, and they wish to remain, in this case, in Twin Rivers. Would somebody be able to help me as far as what they recommend in this case?
So if they submitted one and they got approved, but they decided to still stay in Twin Rivers, they can do that. The application being approved doesn't necessarily mean that they can't stay in our program anymore if they don't want to attend that district. So they can still stay in our program. Do you have anything else to add to that, sir?
No, you added that. You answered that question perfectly, and you're absolutely right. Anytime a family's been pre-approved for an inter-district agreement to go to another district, if they decide not to act on that approval and they want to stay in Twin Rivers in their homeschool program, they absolutely can stay.
I think the question was if they moved out of the district and want to stay in our district. So that would mean they would need to go to their new home district to fill out an inter-district to request to continue at Twin Rivers.
Absolutely, Deborah. Thank you for clarifying that question. So yes, if a family has moved out of the district but they would like their student to continue in their previous school, then they would need to go through the inter-district agreement process. They would start that in their home district of residence, and then we would work to approve that inter-district agreement for the length of the program setting. So thank you, Deborah.
So at this point, I'm going to let families ask some more questions via the chat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate a little bit about how you could find all of this information via the Twin Rivers Unified School District website. So at this point, hopefully you will see, in this case, this webpage that is introducing our families as far as all the programs and services that we are offering to you today. It notifies families as far as obviously the road to reopening, as far as when it comes to opening schools for this current school year. And so there's a couple ways you could go about it. If you click on schools, this will notify you all the different programs and schools that we have within the district. Many families ask about what school should I select, or what is it that my child needs. So if I'm in the process of looking for a school that is not my home school, if you click on the fact sheet right here, this is one way you can find out. Let me open that for you. This is one you can find out more about what programs do they provide throughout the school year, who's their administrator, how can I reach somebody within the office. It provides information about what they do, in this case for Allison Elementary School. We also want to let you know that, for example, if you go here in the main web page and you go to the enrollment page and you click on this information, that will guide you to the enrollment webpage that we have created with the support of many different departments to support families when it comes to enrollment. It notifies you that obviously this does not apply to charter schools nor preschool. They have a whole different application process, but those links are available here on the side as well. It notifies you that one step is to find out what your school is using Find Your School. You click here in this button, and it will direct you to finding your school based if it's this current school year or the next. It goes into the detail as far as the changes that were made through the board resolution from the district. It also provides our contacts, in this case from Ms. Doran and Mr. Puente as well. And then you click on these and you'll be able to find out based on your address what school corresponds to where you live. That is step one. Step two are the requirements. So for many of our families attended the workshops that we had this past week, you learned about immunizations and health forms that are required. It goes into detail as far as what is needed when it comes to enrollment for new students coming into the district. And it gives information about TK as well. When you go to step three, now this is the part where this is new for us and for many of our families, which is through Arizona Enrollment. This is an option where you are able to then create an account. This option is either English and Spanish. You submit your information. Typically, you know, your where you live, your where you work. Typically, as you would do with a paper enrollment, put in your child's information, their emergency contacts, health information, immunizations, and any documents that you can submit electronically. This gets submitted to the school office where you're enrolling. You know, they get a reminder and they'll start the enrollment process. You could start now the enrollment process for next year for 21-22, what is called pre-enrollment. And as Ms. Deborah has mentioned, you know, it's really essential and important to start that now in order to ensure that, you know, you have your application complete. And then you have, in this case, school of choice, or in this case, what is called open enrollment. This is what Ms. Maria has been talking about. And so in this case, this goes into detail as far as where you could download the application. You could, you know, in this case, complete it, and then goes into details as far as how do you go as far as submitting the forms itself. And then on the side here, it also has information about interdistrict transfers as well. You click on this document, it opens up, and then this is the document that you would, you know, start completing. It's fillable, so you could, if you have a printer at home, you can complete it. You can also, you know, then download it and save it as well. So that's, in this case, that is step 4 as well. If you have questions, you know, it also gives information about how you can access us in case you have any questions for us as well. So, you know, the reason why I go over this webpage is that we just want to start just going to the process about how you can guide your families or your kids as far as enrolling for next year. So with that, I'm going to cancel my, let me just do stop screen sharing again, and then I'm going to see what questions came up. Let me see. So most of the questions I see Ms. So some questions I see is as far as applying for an application. So I think there's a different ways as far as how they go as far as enrolling for Arizona Enrollment. And what can, I guess in some cases, this is a question for families who can't access Arizona Enrollment or have challenges because they're not as well versed or not familiar with technology. Mr. Puente, what are some of the ways that the schools are working to ensure that families have that option of completing the application? I see is one of the questions that's being asked.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a great question. One of the things that we've learned through distance learning as well as through what is the pandemic is that technology access is not the same for everyone across the board. So one thing that our school sites are able to do is that they're going to be establishing kiosks, meaning that they're going to make sure that parents have access to laptops at their school site so that they're able to use the online process if need be on a school campus. Parents will have to set up appointments when they do that. In addition to that, we are going to have some opportunities for the application process to be done on hard copy and then to be done in person. But again, that's going to have to be done by appointment. And we would make sure that we were abiding by county and public health guidelines to ensure that social distancing requirements are in place so that both the enrolling family as well as our staff members are all kept safe during that process.
One of the questions that I guess Ms. Thorne, you could probably help me and answer is families that are already currently enrolled in elementary school, do they need to do anything for the following year as far as being enrolled at their same school or being at their home school? Is there anything that they need to be aware of?
So the most important part is to go to the parent portal and update any information that needs to be updated as far as if you've moved or if your phone numbers or addresses change. It's really important to always keep that portal with correct information. But as far as enrolling or anything, if you're staying in the same school and everything, you don't need to. Now, if you're moving on to a junior high or a high school, you still don't need to do that because it's just going to roll over to your home junior high or high school.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thorne. So I think with that, we want to make sure that we provided information as far as when it comes to enrollment and all the different steps that it encompasses, and we understand that it can be kind of daunting at times with the different steps that are required, especially if there's access to technology and the documents, and we want to make this a less stressful situation as always. And so what I'll do, I'm going to let Ms. Thorne just give us one final thought or suggestion you recommend our families to be aware of as they navigate or to start the enrollment process for next year.
I think it's just important to get enrolled as soon as you can. Make sure you get into the parent portal and get it all set up. And then just if you have any questions, we're all available to assist you prior to August when school starts.
Ms. Barragan, what do you recommend for our families they should be aware of, or things that they should know coming up?
Just communication if they're having issues or any problems regarding the applications, filling it out, or they don't understand. It's always good to communicate with us. Again, you have our personal emails, or you can email the student services at twinriversusd.org website. I'm sorry, email, if they have any questions.
Mr. Puente, final thoughts for our families?
Yeah, I think Maria and Deborah both touched on it. Definitely, my final thought would be start early with the online enrollment process, as well as any type of open or interdistrict agreement process that you would like to pursue. The earlier you start, the better able you're going to be able to access the technology. Waiting till that last minute before school starts really definitely can impede the process for an approval such as an interdistrict agreement or an intra-open enrollment process application. So again, start early. If you've got questions, reach out to us. We've got staff available to assist you. And if you're struggling with the technology, again, reach out to us. We're here to help.
I just have one last thing to add is if you're going to be emailing us or leaving messages, it's important to leave the date of birth of this student and your address so that we can, before we call you back, we can confirm some of the answers to your questions, and that'd be very helpful.
That is definitely the case. We have, in this case, many of our messages, when you leave a voice message at our extensions, we get notified through our emails. And so if you, as Ms. Thorne mentioned, you provide your name, your contact information, your students' information, and especially the question that you're asking, it could be that we could send and forward that voice message to the school site. We could find out more information about what is it that you're asking, and we could actually, respond it all through email, because in some cases we have your email contacts, and we could provide a full response, and it's something that it helps the both of us as well. So with that, I'm going to finalize this webinar. We appreciate the participation and the help, in this case from our interpreters today. We also want to acknowledge the help from our Student Services Department as well for today. And with that, we'll conclude this webinar, and we appreciate your participation and your interest and your time as far as dedicating towards your child's education. So with that, thank you and have a good day. And wish you the best, and please reach out to us.